name is Landon Bulloch. It's July 19th, 2013, and this is my persuasive speech. This first one says, to spay or not to spay, it's not even a question. And that is the purpose of my speech, is to show to you and the audience that it is not an option, or it shouldn't be. And there are plenty of positive reasons why you should pick to spay and neuter your pets. The first says, how many of you have seen those really heartbreaking, sad commercials about the sad animals that need homes, and then the shelters? These are some pictures, some examples of those. And we've all seen the commercials, and what they're basically showing you is the overpopulated shelters of the animals that need homes. The fact is that the American Humane Society reported 8 million strays and unwanted animals are taken in across the country every year. And around 3.7 million of those animals are euthanized because they cannot find good homes. And so the ASPCA and the American Humane Society are out advertising for the adoption of these animals so that they won't have to euthanize as many. And the fact is that you can help. And the whole important part of this speech is to stress that every person's actions can help these animals benefit, and not just one, but any of them, and that you can play an important part. First we have to look at the reasons behind it, and the first one is animal overpopulation, and we see that by the increasing number of strays, and the increasing number of strays leads to more of the problems. It also leads to an increased number of animal bite incidents, which is causing problems with family and unsafe with your children, car accidents, and also destruction of personal property when the strays get out and allowed to tear up other people's things. And most stray animals are taken to shelters, which they are given a small chance of finding a home, but as I said, the majority of them are not. And then also it shows that this facts come from PETA, that the one unaltered female dog can produce 67,000 puppies over the time of 6 years, which is an unreasonable amount. You can't find homes for that many, and that's why they end up in the shelter or they end up in the streets. And then in 7 years, one female cat and her offspring can produce 300,000 kittens. And there's some pictures of the kittens in the picture in here, just showing that there's no way you can find homes for that many cats. And another is the animal shelters are full. And then this requires more volunteers and more coordinators. And then once the shelters are too full, the innocent animals have to be put down. And then the animal shelters are not only full with dogs and cats, but horses, goats, and other farm animals too. And these come from the Anti-Cruel Society. And then the more causes of the population is that people spay or neutering their pets cost too much, which is an unreasonable fact when you actually consider that the cost of caring for the litter itself would actually be way more than the cost of just spay or neutering. And some organizations or volunteer veterinarians are willing to do these for free if you do not have the money to pay for it. According to Dr. James Bulloch, a veterinarian in Williamston, the cost of a routine spay is about $175 and a neuter would be $150, when in comparison to the amount of, if you were to pay for the 8 kittens or the 8 puppies, then that is a much smaller amount. People do not realize that becoming a pet owner is a lifetime commitment. So when they adopt these animals and then that's when they become homeless, they get rid of them, and that's why we are becoming more and more overpopulated. They require the companion animal without considering how long it takes. They turn their back on them, and that's a huge problem, along with the non-spaying or neutering causing the overpopulation. And then this is also showing that pet stores and other ways are ways of getting new pets, so people aren't going to the Humane Society because they can get pets from the puppy mills, or they can get them from the pet stores. And 25% of animals in the shelters are purebreds, which means they could have been sold somewhere else, but they ended up in the shelters. So you can't say that all the animals are mutts, because there are very many purebreds. And spaying or neutering your pets will reduce the number of homeless animals you see in the streets and in the shelters. And these are some good pictures of the poor animals that need homes. Spaying or neutering your pet will reduce the number of homeless animals you see in the streets, and individual towns can take action by picking up the ones you see and giving them homes or taking them to the shelters. And then they've begun programs. Example would be Taylorsville, Kentucky. It's a town that's known for being overpopulated with cats and kittens in the street, but the town has become a project where they transport the cats and they take them to other cities. And they've gotten it down to only 300 more stray cats that they are working on. And that's just an example of how we can take that. Next is cost effectiveness, and then communities spend millions of taxpayers' dollars to round up the strays and then also euthanize them when they could actually spend that money just giving them homes, and then you could spay and neuter to prevent. And then some cities and counties require everyone that does not spay or neuter to have a breeder's fee, which I believe that is a good thing, so that you will, instead of paying that fee, you will just put it towards spaying or neutering. And the areas with the mandatory spay and neuter laws have reported significant reduction in these, proving that it works. And the positives to having your pet spayed or neutered is that dogs have no chance of developing uterine or testicular diseases or cancers. And then your male dogs show less aggression, they're less likely to roam, and they're less likely to mark their territory, which making them just easier to deal with pet. And then also it's showing no accidental surprise pregnancies or litters, so that you won't be responsible for taking care of them. So if you just go ahead and pay for them to sterilize them. And then there's negatives that go along with spay and neutering. There are many rumors. Spay and neutering your pet will have negative effects. Some people say that it will make your pet obese, which this is false. This is not a fact. The only thing that makes your pet obese would be the lack of diet and exercise. And then also most people think that selling the pets for money will actually bring a profit. And most people that are just doing this on their own without researching, they do not actually make any money by this. They spend too much on the food, the vaccinations, and just the overall care of the pet and her litter, and they do not actually make any money. So unless it's a real business and you're actually researching it, then you're not gonna make the profit that you desire from it. So don't forget that the single most important thing that we can do to save animals from suffering, from homelessness, and from unnecessary euthanasia is to spay and neuter our pets. And the goal is that even if you don't own a pet, you have to encourage others to spay and neuter. If your friends have pets or your family members, just please make sure that they're doing their part, even if you don't have one. And if you're considering adopting a new pet, adopt from a local animal shelter so that you can help reduce the amount that have to be put to sleep. And then just be aware of the problems that are causing the overpopulation. Just be aware of how to stop it, and then so you can be a part of preventing. And the last thing is don't shop, adopt. So just think about, especially when looking for a new pet, to adopt one from the animal shelter and not shop for a new one from a breeder. Thank you.